Hi, everybody. Welcome to another hour of English classes here on Verbling.com. My name is Lisa, and I'm one of the English teachers here at Verbling. And in this hour, we're going to be reading a short article, and then we're going to be discussing it. So if you have a reservation for this hour, you can go ahead and use the reservation now. But if you don't have a reservation and you would like to join to do some reading and some talking about this topic, then you can just click on the Join Class button when you see it. It just takes the first 2 minutes for people who have the reservations to join. But if they don't join, then it just goes to everybody, and whoever is a Verbling member can join. Hi, Vitaly. How are you?
Hi, Lisa. How can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great. It's good. Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. Are you back home from your business trip?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, I'm at home now.
Uh-huh.
You remember?
Yes, I remembered. You said you were going to spend some time with your daughter, so I'm sure she's glad to have you back.
Thanks.
Yeah. Nice. What kind of business do you do?
I'm an engineer, a service engineer. I'm working with equipment, some kind of security devices that on the borders in customs.
Okay.
For security.
Awesome. So do you usually have to travel often, or?
Yes, quite often. 2 weeks in a month, on average.
Oh, wow. That's quite a lot, actually. So you travel to like one place and stay for 2 weeks and then come back, or you travel to different places?
Usually I travel in different places, but during months it takes about 2 weeks. The total time.
Okay. Do you travel out of the country or just within the country?
Mainly in Russia, mainly in our country.
Wow, cool. Interesting. All right. So you don't mind flying then?
No, I don't mind.
That's good. Okay, welcome, Cesar. How are you today?
Hello, Lisa. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Okay.
How's your day
Thank you.
going?
I'm okay, thank you.
Yeah?
I'm working.
Working? Yeah, me too. Okay, and let's see. Jose, how are you? Jose?
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, how are you doing?
Everything okay, thank you.
Everything's good? Okay. Nice. Well, I like to just check in with everybody while we're waiting for people to join, so it's nice to have people here. Jose Ernesto, where are you calling from?
From El Salvador, in Central America.
Okay, wonderful. Welcome. And Yuki's joining us. Hi, Yuki. Welcome to class.
Hi, Lisa. How's it going?
It's going very well, thank you. Another good day. What day is it anyways? Tuesday. Okay, we're into Tuesday already.
Tuesday. It sounds quite heavy.
Tuesday. Okay.
Even it is not Wednesday.
Not Wednesday, not yet.
Yes.
Not for me. For you, it's getting closer. All right. And Anatoly. Hi, Anatoly. Welcome. How are you?
Hello, thank you. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Okay, guys, so what I have for us today is this article that I came across. Somebody, I don't know, I think I saw it on Facebook or something, and the title sounded interesting, especially for this day and age. And then I discovered that it was written by a lady who I think is the wife, I think, of another guy who's a really interesting guy, Steven Pinker, who is a psycholinguist and writes a lot of books and is at MIT and Harvard and stuff. So anyways, had some connections there. And the title of the article is Forget Facebook, Abandon Instagram, Move to a Village. So that's kind of an intriguing idea for our modern day age. And then, of course, I saw this picture of a village. And then the actual article is just a little bit, it's just kind of a little bit introducing the ideas of this lady, Susan Pinker. So this is her website. She's an author and a psychologist, and she writes books, and she also speaks and does that kind of thing. So this is her new book, The Village Effect. And so I thought it would be fun for us to read a little bit. It's kind of actually a little bit of an interview, kind of excerpts from an interview that they did with her. And so we're going to read what she has to say, and then I want to hear what you guys have to say. If you find this topic interesting and you want to go a little bit deeper with it, you can actually read an excerpt from her book by clicking on this link here. And also, let's see if they have the interview. There might be actually the interview online somewhere on NPR. So NPR is a radio station in the United States. It's a publicly supported radio station. People make donations and stuff to it to keep it going. So it usually has pretty good reporting and interesting programs and stuff. So usually they don't just have written articles, but also radio interviews and things like that. So it might be somewhere on the site. I'm just not seeing it right here. Okay, so we're going to read through this. I'll go over, as usual, some of the vocabulary, point out maybe some grammatical structures and things, check in with you guys about your understanding, and we'll take turns reading. It's not very long, so today I am going to do a little the reading, like where I read and then you guys read. I think it's good to have my input just for the pronunciation and hearing how I say the words and the phrasing and things like that as the model for you guys. Let's see, Adrian joined us, so hi Adrian, welcome. And you guys can open it up if you want, or you can just read along with me in the screen share, since I'm sharing it with everybody, and hopefully it's big enough for everybody to see. Hi Adrian. Welcome.
Hello Lisa.
Hi.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Good. We're just getting started, so we'll do a little bit at a time here. Okay, in the parts of the world that we cover in our blog, many people live in villages. Villages have their problems, to be sure. There may not be a doctor or clinic nearby. Girls may not be able to go to school. Clean water might be a long walk away, but a new book points out that village life has its advantages. Okay, Adrian, why don't you start us off? You can read the whole thing right there, including the title.
Yes. In the parts of the world that we cover in our blog, many people live in village. Villages have their problem, to be sure. There might not be a doctor or clinic nearby. Girls might not be able to go to school. Clean water might be a long walk away. But a new book points out that village life has its advantages.
Advantages.
Yeah.
Get all those syllables in there. Okay, good. Just a couple of things I wanted to make sure you guys understand. In the parts of the world that we cover in our blog. So this is part of their blog. Like I said, there's lots of different programs on this site here, radio programs and blogs and things like that. But to cover something, we talk about this like news media or media in general. They cover different topics. It means that's what they talk about. So some blogs cover technology, some blogs talk about parenting, for example. So whatever the blog or the radio program or the TV series or something, whatever the topic is, that's what they cover, what they do news reports about, or what they like to either instruct you about, educate you about, or inform you about. So we cover in our blog. So this is what they do. They cover lots of parts of the world. So they go around the world and they give you news stories in their blog. So of course many people live in villages around the world still, and of course we know that some villages, they have problems, and so this use of to be sure just means kind of like of course, you know, it is a fact. Villages have their problems, of course, or to be sure. So they're not perfect places, and then they give you some examples of the type of problems. Maybe you don't have a doctor there or a clinic nearby. Nearby just means close to the village, somewhere where you can actually go to a clinic, you know, within 30 minutes maybe or something like that. Sometimes it could be several hours until you get to a clinic from a small village or something. Okay, girls can't go to school, maybe clean water is, you know, you have to walk far to get the water, that kind of thing. And, so the but there is saying, yes, we know there are these disadvantages, things that aren't wonderful about small villages, but a new book points out. So it's like saying in this new book she notes or she tells us that, you know, in fact, villages do have some advantages as well, some things that are good about them. All right, so to point out something just means you tell your listeners, you tell your readers, you want to make sure you talk about it, you note it, we say it a lot, you know, I want to point this out to you means I want to show you this in particular. All right, we asked psychologist Susan Pinker, author of The Village Effect, How Face-to-Face Contact Can Make Us Healthier, Happier, and Smarter, to explain the benefits of living in a community of about 150 people, the average population of traditional villages throughout history around the world. Oops. Okay. Oh, Amparo, you joined us. Hi, Amparo. Amparo, you actually are next if you're ready to read that small part there. Except for I'm not hearing your voice. Anatoly, why don't you go ahead and then we'll come back to Amparo because her mic's having issues.
Okay. We asked psychologist Susan Pinker, author of The Village Effect, how face-to-face contact can make us healthier, happier, and smarter, to explain the benefits of living in a community of about 150 people, the average population of traditional villages throughout history around the world.
Mm-hmm. Good. So just the benefits she wants, you know, in her new book, she's explaining the good things about living in a community. So a benefit of doing something or living a certain way or living in a certain area, it's the good thing, the advantages, the benefits. You can say lots of different words. So I like to point out how you can use different words there too to explain the benefits, the advantages, the good stuff, you know, the highlights, that kind of thing. All right, so we're talking about average population of traditional villages. So, you know, in what we call the old days, you know, a long time ago before we had these huge cities of millions of people. Most of the world lived in tiny villages. What is the village effect? The village effect is a metaphor for the social contacts we all need as humans in order to thrive. These are the strong social ties that develop naturally in a village, where by necessity you cross paths with each other repeatedly every day. Okay. Amparo, is your microphone working now? Ooh, we got two Amparos now. I don't hear you though. Okay, Cesar.
Okay, teacher. What is the village effect? The village effect is a metaphor for the social contacts we all need as humans in order to thrive. These are the strong social ties that develop naturally in a village, where by necessity you cross paths with each other repeatedly every day.
So the village effect is a metaphor. A metaphor is a way of saying something that kind of represents something else. So you're not talking about it necessarily exactly, but you're talking about it in another way. So metaphors and analogies are used in storytelling and to try to get your point across in a different way rather than just very directly. So she's calling it the village effect, but it's really a metaphor. What it really means is we're talking about these social contacts. So social means related to people, and contacts is like your interactions with those people. You get into contact with somebody every time you go outside and you see somebody and you say hi. That's like a social contact, going to a cafe, to a restaurant, to your office, that type of thing. And this is what humans need in order to thrive. Cesar, do you know what to thrive means?
Yes, is when you try to avoid your lifestyle, working and win. I don't know how do you say win money, gain money, and to be better, you and your family. So it's a kind to found better avoid your lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah. So to thrive, we means to live a good life. You know, like if you are doing very well in your life, you are thriving. If you're not doing so well, maybe you get sick a lot, or you're sad or depressed. You know, that's not really thriving. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, thriving is like having success, feeling good, not necessarily like being rich or something. No, just doing well
Yes,
as a human.
absolutely.
Yeah. And like we use it a lot, like when babies are first born, there's a thing called failure to thrive, and that's an indication like when your baby might not be eating very much, losing weight, you know, just is not really doing well. So you have to be concerned about that. So it's the opposite of that. Okay. So by necessity. So by necessity, necessity just means need. So in a village, your social ties, these connections to other people, they develop naturally because by necessity, because you need to, you know, you need to walk over and get some water, or you need to go to the store and get something, or you're going to visit your grandma, and just by doing that, you actually cross paths with other people. Cross paths with. It means you come across them, or you really just pass them, even just, you know, passing them on the way from one place to another place. So you actually see them. So to cross paths with somebody just means you actually bump into them and you see them and you have the opportunity to talk to them, perhaps, if you want to. And this happens repeatedly every day. So repeatedly is describing the fact that it happens often. You know, maybe in the morning, and then a couple hours later, and then another time. So as you can imagine, when you look at this picture, these people, they're just living together, 150 people, let's say, and they're going to see each other a lot. Obviously, probably many of them are also related, so they're having meals together and working together, taking care of each other's children, that type of thing. So lots of opportunities to interact socially. When you think of most villages, there is a central square, a public area where everyone converges or passes by, going to the grocer or the post office or city hall, or to sit at a cafe. And that is something we have less and less of today in our era of online connections. Commerce is moving online. Everything is moving online. And these traditional village spaces are disappearing. Amparo, are you ready yet?
I hope so.
Yeah!
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Okay, why don't you read this paragraph for us?
When you think of most villages, there is a central square, a public area where everyone converges or passes by, going to the grocer or the post office or city hall, or to sit at a cafe. And that is something we have less and less of today in our era of online connections. Commerce is moving online, everything is moving online, and these traditional village spaces are disappearing.
Okay. Let me show you. So this is like a picture. I just typed in like Central Square, and so a lot of even smaller towns and some cities, also in neighborhoods and things, they have this. Mostly like in Europe, the United States is not very good about developing their cities in this way to promote more social interaction. But when you visit older cities around the world, when they were smaller, of course, they did plan for this type of thing. So this would be like a central square or a plaza or something like this, where you can see people can come to converge. So to converge means everybody comes to the same place. So you can see there are benches, maybe there's a cafe over here. So a lot of people can, if they want to, come and sit down and visit and hang out, talk for a little while, or they can just pass by. So maybe going from, you know, your grocery store to the post office to home or something, you're actually going to cross and pass by the path here, the plaza, and see people you know. That's a possibility. That like I said, in the United States, it's not so common, but in other cities, it is. So that's what that means. Converges, people coming together. Passing by, to pass by just means like walking by and going through. So you're not necessarily stopping, but you're going through. But you could stop if you wanted to talk to somebody. And everything's going online. So commerce just refers to the fact of people buying things. So, you know, we've had the conversation here a lot where many people prefer to purchase things online nowadays. Books, clothes, electronics. They don't even need to leave their house to get the stuff that they want. They just buy it online and have it delivered. So that's what she's saying here. A lot of these traditional village spaces are disappearing. And I would say that's true in the United States. They're just not that common. Why is 150 the ideal number for a village population? 150 is the number that comes up time and again in the types of social interactions that work smoothly. We see it throughout history, whether we're talking about the number of people in traditional hunter-gatherer societies, Neolithic villages, an English country village, or the number of Christmas cards we send out. These are people with whom you have strong enough ties that you could ask to borrow $10 until the next payday. Okay, Yuki.
Okay. Why is 150 the ideal number for a village population? 150 is a number that comes up time and again in the type of social interactions that work smoothly. We see it throughout history, whether we are talking about the number of people in traditional hunter-gatherer societies, Neolithic villages, an English country village, or the number of Christmas cards we send out. These are people with whom you have strong enough ties that you could ask to borrow $10 until the next payday.
Okay, so what makes it the ideal number, all right? Ideal just means, you know, the one that you're looking for, the best one, that type of thing, in terms of a population. And I just wanted to point out for people who also are practicing their writing, one of the rules in English writing is that you don't start a sentence with the number. So you actually spell out the number, because usually we only spell out numbers like 0 through 9, and then once it goes above 10, you just type it as a number, but unless it starts the sentence. So if it starts the beginning of a sentence, then you actually spell it out. All right, so that's why they spelled out 150. Social interactions. What's a social interaction, Yuki? How would you describe that? Or what's another word for interactions?
I think social interaction means the mutual understanding and communication in society among the people here, village people. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, actually, an interaction is even just a simpler definition. Would just be like when you interact with somebody, you do something with them. So it might be like you just say hi to them. Maybe you come and shake their hand. Maybe you have a little conversation. It could be a long conversation. So any type of social interaction is when two or more people do something together, whether it's just a simple hello, how's it going, okay, bye, see you later. That's an interaction. Or maybe you actually go and meet somewhere and you talk longer, something like that. But you somehow do something together. It's like a connection.
People give with each other greeting, commodity, something. Yes.
Exactly. So, and the putting the word, because you can have lots of different types of interactions, like Hamid just joined us. So in chemistry, for example, you can have chemicals that interact with each other. They kind of come together and then create something else maybe. So you can have lots of different types of interactions between different things, but in terms of social, that tells us we're talking about humans going together. But you could also have like social interactions between like animals, for example. they would, how do they interact with each other? What do they do with each other? And so they're talking about social interactions that work smoothly. So they work well. The opposite of smoothly would be if you had a lot of conflict. In a social interaction that has a lot of conflict, that would be like a fight, an argument, war, something like that. So they're talking about this number as the number that represents, the typical amount of people that we see throughout history that work well together. Maybe if you get fewer people, it's not so smooth, and if you have too many people, it's not so smooth either. And she gives some examples: hunter-gatherer societies, Neolithic or Stone Age villages, and even nowadays, this isn't so popular anymore here in the United States, but people still do it, and they used to do it more, is send out Christmas cards. You kind of send out cards to your family and your friends, and maybe send out a letter or a picture that's updating them about what you've been doing over the year, and your kids, what they look like nowadays, that kind of thing. That's about how many, that would be like a high number, that people would send out Christmas cards to. And these are the people who you have strong ties with, all right? So strong enough ties to or with. What does it mean to have a strong tie with somebody? Let's see, Vitaly, how do you understand that? If you have strong ties with somebody.
I think it's like relation, not just connection, when people can be close to you.
Yes, exactly.
So, some kind of these things.
Yeah, so just pointing out the word ties here. If you have strong enough ties or connections or a relationship with somebody, that you can actually ask them, hey, can I borrow $10 until I get paid next payday? You wouldn't probably do that to somebody that you didn't actually know or have a very strong tie with. So you have strong ties usually with your brothers, your sisters, your family members, some close friends, your spouse, that type of thing. All right, so how do these 150 village ties compare to online ties? Not all types of social ties are created equal. Oxford evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar posits 150 as the maximum number of meaningful relationships that the human brain can manage. We know from our own lives there are only so many people that you can invest in that way, that you can call and invite to dinner or check in on when sick. Okay, Vitaly?
How do these 150 village ties compare to online ties? Not all types of social ties are created equal. Oxford evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar posits 150 as the maximum number of meaningful relationships that the human brain can manage. We know from our own lives that there are only so many people that you can invest in that way, that you can call and invite to dinner or check in on when sick.
Okay. Okay, so to posit is kind of more like an academically used word when a researcher is going to try to say, like, this is what's true. This is what I'm putting forth as true based on my research. So another thing is Robin Dunbar argues that, or she claims that, or she wants to point out, that type of thing. So posits is used, but you'll mostly hear it more in more academic settings. But it's a good word to know. All right, so that's the maximum number of meaningful relationships. Vitaly, how would you describe a meaningful relationship?
It means important.
Yeah.
Important relationship, important connections.
Yeah, so that's somebody you want to stay in touch with. Let's say if somebody is meaningful to you, and therefore the relationship is important to you, then you will spend some time. Maybe you will connect with that person, call that person, meet with them now and then, send a letter, something like that. So this person is saying the human brain can only manage, or another word for manage would be handle. We talked about that one yesterday. Handle this amount of relationships, and the reason why is you can't invest in people so much. You don't have enough time and energy and perhaps brain power even to invest enough energy in so many relationships to make them very meaningful. So you have to like pick and choose, right? And so there are only a certain amount of people that you're actually going to call and invite to dinner or check in on. So this is one of those phrasal verbs. When you check in on somebody, it means you're going to see how they're doing. So if you have a friend who's sick, maybe you're going to call and say, hey, how you doing? I hope you're feeling better. Maybe you're going to call, send an email even, or send a card, something like that. But you're not going to do that to 5,000 people. Maybe just a few, a few people you can handle. All right. These are the types of social ties that develop naturally in a village, where by necessity you cross paths with each other repeatedly every day. When you think of most villages, there is a central square, a public area where everyone converges or passes, this is the same sentence again, or passes by going to the grocer or the post office or city hall or city to cafe. And so these ties develop naturally through frequent in-person contact. Okay, Hamid, it's your turn.
These are the types of social ties that develop naturally in a village, where by necessity you cross paths with each other repeatedly every day. When you think of most of villages, there is a central square, a public area, where everyone converges or passes by going to the grocer or the post office or city hall or sit at a cafe. And so these ties develop naturally through frequent in-person contact.
Mm-hmm. So she's kind of repeating herself. She said this basic thing up above, but same idea. You know, grocer is the person who sells the food, the grocery store, for example.
Maybe supermarket.
Yeah, the supermarket. In in a smaller village, we actually call the person the grocer because maybe there's only actually one or two people who runs a small, maybe like a fruit and vegetable stand or something like that. But of course, nowadays in big cities we have supermarkets, and so you don't think of one person as being the grocer because lots of people work at that store. So this is more a term that's used like maybe in a small town or village to describe a person who's like maybe the owner, or maybe they only have 2 or 3 people that work there. So the grocer, just like the butcher, something like that. And here again, frequent. So they use repeatedly up above, but now they use the word frequent. Means the same thing, often. So you're going to come into contact, in-person contact, so face-to-face is another way to say that. And you're going to see them. You're going to say hi, maybe have a little chat with them, ask them how they're doing, how their kids are, that type of thing. Okay, these are different from the weak contacts that you might have in your online social networks. You could walk by some of these online contacts on the street without even recognizing them. These weak contacts are great if you need a recommendation for a restaurant in a strange city, for instance, or are looking for a cleaning lady or other types of information. But in terms of social ties, it's the difference between your mother's lasagna or homemade chicken soup compared with fast food. Okay, Adrian. Adrian, your microphone's muted.
Yes.
There you go.
And these are different from the weak contacts that you might have in your online social networks. You could walk by some of these online contacts on the street without even recognizing them. These weak contacts are great if you need a recommendation for a restaurant in a strange city, for instance, or are looking for a cleaning lady or other type of the information. But in terms of the social ties, it's the difference between your mother's lasagna or homemade chicken soup compared with fast food.
Yeah. Okay, good. So weak contact. So this is as opposed to the strong ties or the strong contacts that you have with people in your village, for example, or your relatives and family and friends, that kind of thing. So weak. They're not so strong. Maybe you don't even know them, really. That's what she's saying. And perhaps if you couldn't even recognize them if you're going out on the street. What does it mean to recognize somebody, Adrian? Do you know?
Recognize is maybe like a know.
Yeah, to know somebody. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, I have, for example, a lot of people on my Facebook page that I don't really know in person. Maybe they're a student, they've had some classes with me, or they like some of my products or something like this, you know, but they listen to my podcast, you know, something like that. But I have accepted them because I know they're learning English and they probably want to, you know, read my posts and get more exposure to English, but I can't say that I would recognize them or that I even know them very well. They're kind of a weak contact. They could maybe ask me a question and I might answer it. I might ask them a question. Kind of this kind of idea, getting a recommendation for something. You know, if you're visiting a town, you might say, hey, what's the best place to get a pizza? Something like that. But in terms of, so when you say in terms of something, that means like relating to. So related to social ties, or if we're going to talk about social ties, it's really a difference here. And she gives, this is an analogy here, so a comparison. These two things, which are probably very delicious and yummy, hopefully, if your mother's a good cook, compared to fast food. So, you know, this is the real deal, real good, yummy, healthy food for you, compared to something that's quick and easy, but not necessarily very meaningful, like a quick hamburger or something like that. Why is the village effect so important? If you have a cohesive community, you will have extra helping hands for the young and the old and everybody in between. The village effect impacts not only those who are vulnerable, but it helps people feel they belong somewhere. And if we know anything from all of the demographic studies in neurosciences, if you are lonely or isolated, it is almost a death sentence. Okay, Amparo. Amparo, I don't hear you.
She has some connection problems.
I guess so. Okay, Anatoly, why don't you go ahead with it?
Okay.
No?
Now I hear you, Amparo.
Okay.
There you go. Okay, go ahead.
Why is the village effect so important? If you have a cohesive community, you will have extra helping hands for the young and the old and everybody in between. The village effect impacts not only those who are vulnerable, but it helps people feel they belong somewhere. And if we know anything from all of the demographic studies in neurosciences, if you are lonely or isolated, it is almost a death sentence.
Yes. So if you have a cohesive community, Amparo, do you understand the word cohesive? Do you know how to describe that?
Everyone is too close, as they are joining
Yes.
each other.
Yeah. So cohesive anything. So we're talking about cohesive community, but you could have like a cohesive idea or a cohesive plan, something that just comes together and is tight and close. So a cohesive community is a group of people who feel close together. They know each other, and they're friendly with each other. You know, it's not chaotic or loosey, like maybe loose community means you don't really know them, but they live in your town, that kind of thing. But cohesive is like a real good group of people. Like, you know, when you're thinking of sports, for example, teams that are cohesive do a lot better than teams that are not cohesive. So if you're a basketball team or something, you know, you're really good friends, you like working together, you consider each other like brothers or sisters, that kind of thing, then you're very tight, you're very close, you're very cohesive. Okay, so if you have that type of community, you'll have extra, I like this phrase here, helping hands, so people who are available to help when you need help with your young, your children, your babies, older people who need help, and everybody in between who might need help sometimes, there are people around who can provide help. So helping hands. We think of hands as like providing work, that type of thing. They can do something with their hands to help out. And what about vulnerable, Amparo, when it says here, not only those who are vulnerable?
Very susceptible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what would be like an example of somebody who could be vulnerable in a community?
Well, people probably they are alone, they are divorced, or they are poor, or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you think of like a smaller village community, maybe you have some child who has a disability, or you have somebody who just lost their husband and now they're going through the grieving process. So they're kind of vulnerable, meaning they're kind of susceptible to maybe some depression, sadness, or maybe they're weak, they can't really take care of themselves, that kind of thing. So sometimes those type of people, they feel left out, but if you live in a smaller village where people might take care of you, you feel like you belong somewhere, so like you're a part of something. So, and she's referring here to newer demographic studies, so studies around the world about people and how important it is to, to be in a community, to have friends, for example. There's a lot of research that shows that if you're, kind of extremely lonely, or you feel really isolated, like maybe you have no friends, you just stay inside your house all day long, it's kind of like a death sentence. Like you're not going to be as healthy, you might not live as long. People really need people. That's kind of what the research has been showing. When you are getting together face to face, there are a lot of biological phenomena. Oxytocin and neurotransmitters get released. They reduce stress and allow us to trust others. Physical contact unleashes a whole chain of events that make us and make the other person feel good and affects our health and well-being. By contrast, according to research, we've never been lonelier as a society than we are now, and this can take a toll on our health. Okay, Anatoly?
When you are getting together face to face, there are a lot of biological phenomena. Oxytocin and neurotransmitters get released. They reduce stress and allow us to trust others. Physical contact unleashes a whole chain of events that make us and make the other person feel good and affects our health and well-being. By contrast, according to research, we've never been lonelier as a society than we are now, and this can take a toll on our health.
Okay, so again, to continue on with the fact that when you get together face to face, so in person with somebody, you're actually seeing them. There's lots of biological things that are happening. A phenomena is just like things that happen. So, and biological refers to they're happening in our physical body, actually. So we have oxytocin, which is a hormone that gets released that makes you feel calm and chill, relax. Other neurotransmitters related to like your neurological system, your brain, they're getting released. And these things allow us to have less stress. They reduce stress for us and allow us to trust other people. In physical contact, like giving somebody a hug or a kiss on the cheek or handshake, something like that, somebody putting their arm around you and they're talking to you, this can unleash. So to unleash means to like let go. So it can like kind of trigger or start a whole chain of events. So we use this as a phrase, chain of events. Means a chain is like one thing after another. So one thing starts, then the next thing happens, then the next thing. And these things that are being let go in our body are helping us feel good. And this, of course, allows us to be healthier and to have a better physical state, a well-being, a state of well-being. By contrast, so like on the other hand, if we don't have this type of contact face-to-face, somebody like giving us a hug now and then, something like that, it can actually take a toll on our health. Anatoly, how would you describe that, to take a toll on something or somebody? Do you understand that one?
Can take a toll of maybe maximum of the level.
Actually, opposite.
Not sure.
Yeah. So they said this is good. So physical contact unleashes some good things, make us feel better. But by contrast, so this next sentence is saying, in fact, if we don't have this, it can be bad for our health. So this is good. Good, strong ties, physical contact, meeting face-to-face with somebody. And by contrast, if we don't have that, so we're lonelier than ever, that's what they're saying, lonelier now as a society, and being lonely can take a toll on our health. So to take a toll on your health means it can harm your health. So to take a toll on something means to harm it or to make it less. So, yeah, being lonely can be bad for your health is what it's basically saying. Those of us who don't live in villages, are we out of luck? You can create your own village effect. Get out of your car to talk to your neighbors. Talk in person to your colleagues instead of shooting them emails. Build in face-to-face contact with friends the way you would exercise. Look for schools where the emphasis is on teacher-student interaction, not on high-tech bells and whistles. Okay, Cesar.
Okay. Those of us who don't live in villages, are we out of luck? You can create your own village effect. Get out of your car to talk to your neighbors. Talk in person to your colleagues instead of shooting them emails. Building in face-to-face contact with friends the way you would exercise. Look for schools where the emphasis is on teacher-student interaction, not on high-tech bells and whistles.
Great. Okay, so of course, are we out of luck? That's the question. Meaning, are we, is there no hope for us? If you're out of luck, it's like, too bad for you. You're doomed or something like that. So in this case, no. You can create your own village effect, and so you have to do some common sense things. You have to get out of, so don't just stay in your car and go straight into your house. Say hi to your neighbors. Talk in person to your colleagues, your coworkers, your students, that type of thing, instead of shooting them emails. So that's another way of saying sending them emails. Somebody might say, hey, shoot me an email later and let me know what time we're going out to dinner, that kind of thing. Send an email, shoot an email. Again, face-to-face just means in person. And these are some other things. So for kids, or for yourself, if you're going to attend a school or something, maybe look for one where there's emphasis, where they're going to focus, people to people, teacher to student, student to student, really interaction, not just sitting in front of a computer or an iPad or a tablet or something like that all day. That would be considered a high tech, so referring to high technology. Bells and whistles. So we use this expression, bells and whistles, to describe things that are kind of extra and fancy and new. And sometimes people pay money for all the bells and whistles. They're not necessary, but they kind of make things a little shinier for people. We need to recognize that digital connections should enhance, but never replace, the real-life connections. I don't think we all should throw out digital devices and move back to the village. I'm not romanticizing village life, but using it as a metaphor as what is disappearing. Deep social ties and the in-person contact we all need to survive. Okay, Hamid.
We need to recognize that digital connections should enhance but never replace the real-life connections. I don't think we all should throw out digital devices and move back to the village. I'm not romanticizing village life, but using it as a metaphor as what it is dissipating. Deep social ties and the in-person contact we all need to survive.
Good. So we need to recognize. So in this case, the word recognize means more like we have to be able to see. We have to be able to understand that these digital connections, are good and they should enhance our lives, make our lives better, but they are not supposed to replace. You know, we're not supposed to just get rid of our real life connections. We still need to visit our parents and our, you know, our friends, and not just talk to them over Skype, or, you know, send them emails or text and think that we're really having deeper connections with them. But this is oh wait, here we go. I don't want to throw out. So to throw out means to get rid of. You know, she's not saying throw away or throw out your phones and your tablets and your computers and just go back to some village. No, that's not exactly what she's saying, because she's using it just as a metaphor. So she's not romanticizing village life. When you romanticize something, it's used as a verb there. To romanticize means to make it sound better than it really is, to make it seem like, oh, that's the perfect way to live, but it's not exactly true. So you're just romanticizing, dreaming about it, kind of. But she does want people to know that this is what is disappearing, these types of deep or meaningful social ties, and the in-person contact that she says, and research has been saying, we all need to survive as humans. We actually need other people in our lives, not just computers and those types of things. So before we discuss it, because I do want to hear what you guys have to think, or what you have to say about this, any questions about the language? Any words, expressions, things you want me to explain? Something you didn't understand?
No, teacher, it's okay.
It's good? Okay, good. All right. So what do you guys think? Yuki, you and Vitali didn't have a chance to read again, so I'll ask you guys first. What do you think about her suggestions about going out and, you know, being with people in person?
Her suggestion and what is written here sounds a little romantic.
Okay.
Yes. Before I have lived in local area.
Yeah.
Yes, it was quite inconvenient to live there. But what is written here is important for many people that has forget very important things. It's a face-to-face contact and living in the society, real society, and living with nature. Recently, the other days, I have watched the documentary film in NHK World, and it is a story about a Japanese man. He before worker, but he one fine day he decided to return to the rural area, and he get to keep a cow and do a farm, stock farm. And since then, 30 years, he continued to keep cows and make a cheese for his family, only for his family and neighbors. He have a little son in Tokyo, but now he's already adult. He decided to succeed his father's job. So it means that farmer's job, yeah. So I think he didn't do a big business, and he has no internet page to sell his product all over the Japan. But it seems that to me that he is very happy. Eating delicious food that he make for himself, and he has a close relationship with his family and neighbors. So I think what is suggested here in this article is partly fact. Real.
Yeah, sure. In some places, definitely happening. Vitaly, what do you think about this idea of making sure you include face-to-face interactions with people regularly? Is it important?
I think I agree in many points with the author of this article. I live in not in very big, very large town. I know many people face to face, so I have to say it's good to relationship in community are better than you know words that you when you know people who are neighbors of yours. It's you feel the other atmosphere. So when when you come to a large city as Moscow or another one, you feel quite difference. People are like aliens to each other. So I don't want this type of society. So I agree with the author that we might live in small communities to for better interaction with each other.
Yeah, it's interesting. You bring up a good point. I think I want to do a speaking class about this later this week, so we can delve into it a little more. But this idea of, I think now with a lot of technology, people are kind of seeing, now we understand more the pros and the cons, and then so now we have people like this lady writing about, hey, wait a minute, don't just do this. We still need to have these other things from our past. So we have to kind of be more aware as humans to create the world that we actually want to live in, which, like you just said, I don't want to live in that world, so you have to actually create the world you want to live in, and that, takes people making choices and decisions about that. We only have a couple more minutes. Who else would like to say something, a comment about this? When I read this, Amparo, I think about you a lot because you have seem to have really strong ties with your family, especially.
Yeah. Yes. For example, here it's common in some neighborhood that people is very close, and even when this is a big city, in almost every neighborhood they have a close relationship. For example, if someone having a problem, in the poorest neighborhood, the relationship is more closest than in the big neighborhood. But with my family, for example, it's something that we have a good relation, even with my cousins and my uncles or something like that. If someone have any problem, we try to support each other.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a kind of established to a relation that is going to help you in any situation. It's okay that you have to use the technology, but you cannot be unreal with that. It is a kind of unreal to try to establish a relation with someone that you cannot see every time. So for us, it's very important to establish a relation with people that you can see and you can feel that they are behind you, supporting in any situation.
Yeah. Anatoly, what do you think? I know you play. What do you play? Second Life or something sometimes?
Yes, I did it, but not currently. I think it is very important to keep face-to-face contact, but also we need to understand that in future more and more people will be working online, and their communication will be changing in the future. And maybe it is the reason why this article appeared.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Certainly, we're out of time now, but something that I'll put up a speaking class for so we can talk about it. But yeah, as more people like myself, working online, I get to communicate with you guys every day, and it's really great. But sometimes I don't even go out of the house, because I have my family, of course, but sometimes I just have to go outside and see some other people in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys, thanks for coming to class and reading along. And if you're interested, like I said, you can follow some of the links in this article and learn more about this lady. She has some other interesting articles as well if this is a topic you're interested in. Not just this, but also other topics related to psychology and humans and things like that. Okay, guys. Take care.
Everybody.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, hope to see you soon.